Time somebody comes up to you with an excuse, there's your rebuttal right there. And by the way, it's just the nature of life. We will all come to a point where somebody puts us in a tough situation and you'll have a choice to make. Am I going to find a way to get through this and achieve what matters to me? What else can I do mentality? Or do I go the other direction and say, not my fault, nothing I can do, and I give up? Two people can be confronted with the exact same challenge, same barrier, same obstacle, and end up with completely different results. It's a mindset. How bad?
That statement as it relates to what Amazon.com did to all the small mom and pop bookstores years ago. They wiped them out, put them out of business, destroyed them. There's destructive and disruptive competition out there in every industry looking to take your market share. And if we're complacent, if we're too focused on managing and not enough emphasis on leading our organizations, we're in jeopardy. You wanted to. It's human nature, gang. I'll tell you what, when you push something on somebody, it is human nature. They will push back if they don't understand, believe, buy in, and if they're not engaged, they will push back. And that's what you see. How many times have you had to roll a new process or system out and you get this pushback? It's human nature. How many of you like to be told you have to change? How many of you are married? It doesn't work so well.
Think about people you know who consistently achieve and exceed the results they want. They're always up here with that mindset of what else do I need to do to get the result I want. And it's about ownership. If you want it badly enough, there's always some small step you can take to get closer to the result. It's how bad you want it. If you don't want it, of course you'll find an excuse why you can't do anything. Just consider this, you don't have to answer it. How much time do you personally, or your team, or your department, or your organization spend wallowing below the water playing the blame game? And just realize you will never achieve a desired result while you're playing.
The experiences you create. Going back to that model, we live in a sea of sameness right now. There's a lot of choices out there. It's the experiences that you create as an organization that will differentiate you. You know, any Starbucks fans in here? It's crazy. And I'm a Starbucks fan as well. And it's funny because where I live in Pittsburgh, so you know, you can go to a Sheetz or 7-Eleven or Wawa or wherever geographically you are, whatever your store is, and get basically the same cup of coffee, and it costs you a quarter of the amount it costs at Starbucks. Yet at Starbucks, we're willing to pay $30 for a cup of coffee because of the experience. Here's the way one of their managers put it. We've identified a third place, and I believe it sets us apart. It's the place that's not work, it's not home, it's the place where people come for refuge. It's the experience. People will pay for the experience. What are the experiences you are creating within your store, within your region, within your district as an organization? Harley Davidson looks at it a little bit different. Harley's not far from here. Any Harley riders in the room? Talk about loyal customers. Here's how Harley looks at it. What we sell is the ability for a 43-year-old accountant to dress in black leather, ride through small towns, and have people be afraid of them. It's the experience.
And just embrace this and internalize this. You'll be better off than when you walked in the door today. Every action you take personally is an experience for everybody around you, everybody watching you. It is either reinforcing what they already believe about you, or you are creating a new belief they will hold about you. Same thing holds true for a department. Every action and experience your department creates for others is developing beliefs people have about your department. And you need to be cognizant, am I creating experiences that are going to foster beliefs that are going to help me get the results I want or help my team get the results we want? Or am I inadvertently creating experiences that are going to foster beliefs that will...
Whose job is it on a football team to recover a fumbled football? Why is it everyone's job, Dan? Because you're a team. What else? Anybody? Better chance with what? Better chance with more people. Keep going. Why else? Why is it everybody's job? Say that again. Because we want the ball. Why do we want the ball? Because we want to win. You finally got to it. What's the must-achieve desired result for a football team? Win the game. Every single player is crystal clear on why they're there. When they line up 53 players on the sideline, there isn't one that's standing there saying, I'm not quite sure why we're here today. They're crystal clear on why they're there, to win the game. So they go above and beyond their job description to help the team achieve the result. If number one in that picture is a wide receiver, what would his job be as a wide receiver? To catch the football. So if there's a fumble ball, like in the picture up there, does number one stand around and say, man, we should have had our fumble recovery guy in on that play? There is no fumble recovery guy. You go above and beyond your job description. You jump on the ball because you're crystal clear on what's most important, the result to win.
In fact, speaking of children, here's an example. I remember teaching, my kids are older now, but I remember teaching them to walk. And I imagine some of you have some young kids at home. But I remember they're standing in front of you. Mine used to hold on to my fingers. They're like bouncing. They can't wait to take that first step. They take that step and what do? Fall, boom. Do you boo them? Boo, that ain't walking, kid. Get up, you slacker. I've been walking 50 years. That's not it. No, you don't boo them. You give them appreciative and constructive feedback. You say, hey, here's what you're doing really well. Keep doing that. And here's what you can do to be better. Take your time. Move slower. Keep your balance. It's the combination of appreciative and constructive feedback that moves people forward. Here's the key. When you give appreciative and constructive feedback, the one word you never put between the two is what? If you insert the word but, you become Charlie Brown's teacher. Blah, 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 blah. They will tune you out. It's simply, here's what you're doing well. Keep doing that. Here's what I think you can love change. Oh, come on, Carl left the room, didn't he? Let's put those hands up. Yeah, what we found about people that love change, the following is usually true. I understand the change. I believe it's needed. I'm bought in. It's the right thing to do. I'm engaged. I know how to make the link between what I do and where we need to go, and I can get my people engaged. That's how most people like that type of change. How many like this type of change? You better get out there and make it happen. You better roll that new system out. You better get them to change. How many like that type of change? Yeah. You like that type of change. But think about often what the job is of a leader or a manager or a supervisor. The younger son, Nick, when he was 10 years old, was viciously attacked by a wild dog when we were on vacation in Mexico. To this day, he's 23, 13 years later, he's petrified of dogs. 6'3", 240, he could eat a dog, but he is petrified of dogs. He could see one 100 yards away, he gets really antsy. We've tried a lot of good experiences over the years with Nick and dogs, stuffed animals, neighbors' dogs, family's dogs. He wants no parts of dogs. We were body surfing last summer. He and I were out in the water, and I see this guy strolling down the beach, tossing a tennis ball to a dog that was no bigger than a loaf of bread. I'm thinking, oh, what's he gonna do when he sees the dog? He turns around, sees the dog, starts hyperventilating, goes into a panic attack, nearly drowned me by pulling me under the water. His belief about dogs is so deeply embedded in his brain, it may never shift. The same son, when he was 6 years old, I remember this like it was yesterday. Take him to his pediatrician, who's a female physician. He's sitting up on the examination table, and my wife and I are both in there with him. The doctor walks in the office. He looks up at me. He says, Dad, ladies can't be doctors. I said, he didn't get that from me. I said, Nick, women can do anything they want to do. And he said, oh, okay. So his belief about women not being able to be doctors changed on better information. And I only tell you those two extreme examples because every one of us in this room, people hold beliefs about every one of us. A lot of it's helping you get what you want, but people may have beliefs about you that are impeding you from achieving the results you want. And if you want to shift it, you have to take ownership and accountability to create the new experiences. It's the only way. You can't just tell somebody you shouldn't believe that. They do believe it. They'll shift their belief when they see the new experiences.
Again, go ahead, Bob. Collaboration to do what? To see the big picture, to recognize our realities. The only way we can see all there is to see is to come together as a team. We need, and by the way, it is the root of creating a highly accountable culture, is making sure that we're recognizing the realities by coming together as a team, having open and candid conversations, seeking perspectives of others, asking for and offering feedback, talking about the elephant in the room, and anticipating opportunities. Seeing your reality has more to do with our ears
than it does with our fail to create focus, alignment, and passion and energy and engagement around what's really, truly important. How do we get to the next level? That's what propels us to, you don't want to be one of the 3 companies that were up there. You don't want to be a Kodak, you don't want to be a Nokia, and you don't want to be a Blockbuster. They were tinkering on the whirlwind. You want to focus on what are the top 2 or 3 results right now, the critical few results that if we make this a reality, propels us to a better place and secures our position in the new world of work. It doesn't mean those 11 to 20 aren't good ideas. You know, they're all good ideas, but you need to focus on those 11 to 20, what are the 2 or 3 right now, based upon our circumstances, that we have a window of opportunity. If we achieve them, we're in a better place. And once we nail it, then we pull one of the 11, 20 in and replace it. Those aren't going to go away. And the problem with those new ideas and those great ideas, do they come to you at the beginning of the year and say, here's a neat POW and here's the order you need to approach them? No, they don't. They come at you daily as a boss. You have people coming to you all day. We need to do this. We need to try that. And we try to do it all. And guess what? It's one of the reasons the most execution of key strategies fails, because we try to do too much. Yeah, I stood in front of Ted. I saw the veins pop. He's like, get out of my way. I got a task to do here. I did that for a reason. Where you're seated in the room impacts what you see, right? And I did that for a reason. Is where you're seated in this organization, does that impact the way you see the operation? Have any of you been put into a new role or new responsibility and you suddenly see things completely different? Yeah, you have a brand new perspective. Were any one of you in this room able to identify all 30 objects? No, but if we kept going, we would have got them all. So you tell me, what's the learning there? If no one person is able to see the full reality, what's the learning? The only way you can see your full reality, first key to accountability, recognize your reality. The only way you can see your full reality is to rely upon others' perspectives, open and candid feedback, open and candid conversations, talking about the elephant in the room. It's the 5 best practices under recognized. In and of itself will not necessarily produce desired results. We want folks coming to work every single day focused on the results that are vitally important to my team, my department, or the organization. And that's where you want them to focus. That's what peak performing organizations do. When you look at high performing cultures, people are focused on what are the most important results we have to achieve. Here's 3 elements, and this applies to every one of us individually, your team and your department and your organization. If you can't answer these questions very clearly and vividly in a sentence or 2 right now, work on it. What's the overt benefit you, your team, your department, or your organization bring to bear? What's the overt benefit that would cause me to say, okay, I'm using them now, but because of your overt benefit that you just stated to me, I'm moving, coming to you. If you can't answer that, work on it. Paranoid with that big eyeball staring at you up there, but this is absolutely positively true. Every single one of us in this room, we are all being thoroughly scrutinized at every single moment. Every shrug of your shoulder, every blink of your eye, we are being watched. And the actions that we choose to take are sending messages to those around us. What are those messages? How are those being received by those around you? Let me ask all of you really quickly, by show of hand, how many of you in this room view yourself as a leader? Well, every single hand should be up, because you are the only person that will lead your life, your career, and your destiny. Do not leave that to somebody else. Kurzweil. Ray used to be the head of Google's artificial intelligence unit. He had this to say not long ago. Medical robots will go inside our brain and connect our neocortex to the smart cloud by the year 2029. How long is that from now, Chase? 6 years. 6 years, give or take. 6 years, give or take. Some people right now are saying with what's happening, I was reading some stuff from Elon Musk the other day, he thinks it's going to happen sooner, and it's all about the singular. On the behaviors you want to see that you know if we do more of that, it helps us become a more effective team. And that's how you move this middle. You know, it's all about this whole mindset of flawless execution, a highly accountable culture. Principle 1 is getting really crystal clear on the critical few. What are the critical few results in addition to the whirlwind that if we achieve, put us in a better place? Principle 2 is about acting on lead measures. The P&I means what's predictive and influenceable. What are the actionable things that I know are predictive and influenceable that if I do that, will move us closer to the result? Not the lag measure, you want lead measures. The third principle is all about setting up that winnable game. It's the scorecard. Where do we stand today against the metric we have to achieve? When do we have to achieve it? So I can make a decision every day about what I can do to help us get closer to it. And the fourth is cultivate a culture of accountability. So we just spent 90 minutes talking about accountability. When you can do that, that's when you shift that bell. That's when you get more people. Charles Darwin, and that is so on spot. It's not the strongest of the species that survives, nor the most intelligent, but those that are most willing and able to adapt to change. That applies to individuals, it applies to teams, it applies to departments, it applies to organizations. Those of us that innovate, that adapt, that embrace change, that constantly build new skills, develop new competencies, will thrive in what we call this new world of work. Percent of the time, individuals and organizations are not crystal clear on the most important results that we have to achieve as an organization. So Andy, coming back to my buddy, can I hold you accountable to achieve a result if it's cloudy or vague or unclear in your mind? How could I do that? And how would it make you feel if I'm holding you accountable to deliver a result that you didn't even know existed? It would be frustrating, would it not? We can't expect people to voluntarily choose to take personal accountability to help us achieve a result if we're not crystal clear on what that is. You know, it's like telling folks within an organization, we need to be a world-class organization. Well, that sounds great, and everybody's going to buy in and say that's wonderful, but exactly what do I need to do?